I need to get intro. Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another video. As always, off cues. Just standard thing on this show, off cue all the time. But it's all good. We don't mind. I'm joined here by Joe and Ali. Boys, how we doing?
All good, brother.
Phenomenal.
Good to have you. Good to have. Absolute pleasure. As always, their links will be in the description. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Very close to 500. As I always say when we start the show, Ali, you explain better because I'm going to have more words. Ali's a plug for Football Kiss. Ali, take it away, mate.
Yeah, so we've got a delivery of football tops coming in next week. So any new season football tops, name and number on the back, shipped and delivered, all for £40. We've got a bunch of Man United tops coming in, a bunch of Real Madrid, a bunch of Juventus tops. So drop us a message so we can hook you guys up.
Yeah, Ali, sorry to interrupt you just before you ask. Any Sancho shirts coming in with, preferably from Man United? Is that what you're going to say?
That's what I was going to say.
That's a bit touchy right now. It's a bit off and on. The video last week was we was all gassed, and I'm a bit pulling back right now.
We were speaking about this last week. I can't remember which video it was, and I was thinking because I've ordered one and I've gone for Martial. My brother's gone for I think he's gone for Bruno, and he's like. Should we get Sancho? And I was like, we're not getting Sancho until it's confirmed. And obviously now, apparently, it's not going to be confirmed. But...
Sure, in the same sort of thing, I released the Man United short film a couple of weeks ago.
It's class.
Oh, thanks very much. Man United Through Pain. Check it out. But in it, I was going to put a shout out to Sancho. I was going to put him as that we've already got him. And even when it came out, I was like, I should have done it. And now I'm like, thank Christ.
Oh my god. Just as we're talking about embarrassing or potential embarrassing stories, I think when we won the Europa League, so obviously we're talking about Europa League. Yes. See how it's all fitting together. When we won the Europa League, exactly, we planned it. I was doing the watch along with my family and stuff. And I think that was the summer we were going to sign Griezmann. So in the watch along, it's still on YouTube as well. In the watch along, when we won the game, obviously we secured Champions League. We all thought as fans that it meant Griezmann's definitely coming because we got Champions League. So we're all we're all chanting Griezmann's name in the picture. There's about 7 of us all chanting Griezmann's name.
Oh my god!
Obviously, the thing, and it's so embarrassing. I don't even know how I shared that because I don't even know if people are aware of it. So there you go. Exactly. Someone's gonna clip it. Benji's in chat, so he probably will. But anyways, let's get into the video. As always, we're just going to embarrass ourselves, which is the whole point of this show, because obviously, what do we know about football? Let's be real, innit? Shakhtar v Inter Milan, and of course, our beloved Manchester United v Sevilla. It is the Europa League predictions. We did one the other day for the Champions League. I'm just trying to think. One of the guys on the chat, on the video, actually got the RB Leipzig score bang on. So some of us know what we're talking about. I didn't expect that one at all. Just quickly, boys, what were your thoughts on that game? It was a bit of an interesting game. Nagelsmann was on it. Joe, what do you reckon?
I was trying to think over the last while, outside of Klopp and Guardiola, and Solskjaer, of course, who were the best managers. Of course, Joe, who were the outstanding managers. And my brain always kind of goes to, even though I can't think of his name now, the ex-Juventus manager. What's his name? Just Allegri. I kind of always got, my mind always goes to him. I was like, oh, he's top class and he's not working, but who else is there? And my mind goes blank, but then it just comes to Nagelsmann and his ascension from Hoffenheim to Leipzig has just been. He's 33 years old. Yeah. All right. It is insane. It does not make sense how he can be as accomplished and tactically astute as he is, and on top of things as he is in such a short space of time. Now it could be a case he's like a Villas-Boas, or however say his name, Villas-Boas. Maybe a Mourinho to an extent, that obviously a bit longer, that they might burn out. But he just seems so calm, so collected, so cool, so German, that genuinely, typical German. But in a couple of years' time, obviously, look, probably everything's painted on for him to be the next Bayern Munich manager, or maybe someone along those lines. He seems like the sort of manager who wants to go to the right club eventually. My biggest fear now is because I'm Liverpool can't get anyone to replace Klopp. They're probably bringing someone like Steven Gerrard, and he'll make them a shit, as we all know they are inside. Okay, but now I'm I want them to appoint a Roy Hodgson type and just tear them apart, But I am looking at it now. I'm he could just slip in there like in 3 or 4 years' time if it kind of suits him perfectly. So like my only fear now is that he could end up going to Liverpool at some point. But other than that, he is outside of the previously mentioned, he is the top manager.
Yeah,
genuinely the top coach. Yeah,
his quality. Ali, would you think that was that a shock? And is there going to be any shock? Obviously, we'll talk about the Europa League very shortly for those of you asking. Was that a shock to you at all, or did you see that happen?
I don't think no one saw it coming, to be honest with you. Simeone loves knockout football. He knows how to set sort of teams up for that 1-leg, 2-leg game. So for me, I was thinking they'll go there, they'll probably sort of beat them 1-0, 2-0. But for Leipzig to come back and actually turn it around and produce the performance they did, like I said, the manager was so calm. Even when João Felix came on and they pulled it back to 1-1, you thought, okay, Atletico are going to go ahead and win it. But the players stayed so calm, so composed, and they went and got the winner. Okay, massive deflection, etc. But you got to give credit to them. And the fact that they've lost Werner wasn't even in the team. Yeah. He's not even there. And the fact they've actually gone there, and the fact that they've actually gone there, actually gone and got a result with that performance, it's a massive shock. Absolutely massive shock.
Yeah, you've kind of alluded to what I want to ask you guys anyways. In terms of the 1 leg, obviously both these games that we're playing are 1 legs. I suppose for our game, we'll touch upon that a bit shortly, but I think the Inter against Shakhtar game, which is one we're going to start with. Joe, we'll come to you first. How important of a factor is that 1 leg to Shakhtar? Because, we've seen in recent weeks, again, with all due respect to Arsenal, no one expects them to beat Man City. I don't think there's that much of a difference between Inter and Shakhtar, as people are saying, and compared to, obviously, Arsenal and Man City. What are your thoughts going into that one? Do you think it'll be a tight game, or do you think it's just a foregone conclusion?
No, to be honest, I think Shakhtar will do them, if I'm being honest. Like, I kind of, like, I wouldn't know a huge amount about Shakhtar. Other than like the fact they won the Europa, I think they won the last UEFA Cup or won the last UEFA Cup. So other than that, they have a bit of a history in it. But like I've been looking into them this season, and they've only lost 4 games across the entire season, or however 12 months it's been. And they were in great form in the Europa League, and they destroyed Basel during the week. While and obviously Basel are who did Inter beat again? Inter beat Leverkusen. They beat Leverkusen. Like obviously, Leverkusen are a bit better than Basel, and you'd think that Inter are a bit better than Shakhtar, but like the way they just absolutely just destroyed them, and they're in such great form and such great spirit and everything like that. Well, Inter, they kind of like bottle it a lot throughout this season. Like I was looking into as well, like they were top, I think once or twice, but haven't been on top or even kind of really close to the top of the Serie A since the 18th week, so that's 20 weeks or whatever. They haven't really been near it, and the only reason they finished a point behind is because Juve won it and just sort of just let them catch up, So I think, so I don't personally. I think Shakhtar will bring it to them because again, if you have Ashley Young starting in your team, like you have issues. So like as we know,
you had to get that in,
I had to put it in there. Okay, not a chance. All right, if you have Ashley Young starting and if Victor Moses is near your team, you're not as good as people are saying you are. All right. So I think I haven't put a bet on, but I think I will. But I will go for Shakhtar too, and it'll be as well as like I do think we'll qualify as well. We'll get through to the final. I think it would just be too perfect for it to be Inter. So I think
that would be the perfect final, obviously for the neutral spot, especially people that hate Man United to see us lose to them. Ali, what are your initial sort of thoughts? Joe's actually surprised me. I'm not going to lie, and he's gone for actually Shakhtar to win the game. What are your thoughts going into this game? Do you think it'll be as easy as some would predict, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a more difficult game?
I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult game. I think Inter are favourites on my side. I think the English core have actually done pretty well for sort of Conte. Actually, Young's done really well. Victor Moses, obviously Lukaku, Sanchez is probably getting there, but I just think with the flair they've got on their side, I just think Inter will probably have a little bit too much quality for Shakhtar. So I can't see Shakhtar actually doing it. I see Conte is he had a good season in Italy. Obviously Juventus have such a strong squad; they're going to sort of pull away anyway. But I think with the resources they've done, and they've actually bought really well. They bought players that haven't really had the limelight here in England. Victor Moses probably barely didn't get a game for Chelsea over here, so he's taking those players there, knowing that they are in Italy, they are technically quick players. Actually, young.
Yeah.
We wouldn't consider quick here in England, but in Italy, in a much lower league, his sort of pace and skill will probably get him past a few players, etc. So, I think Inter will actually get the result.
I think I'm more so going for mentality. That why I think Shakhtar will get it, because like on paper I do think Inter are a better team and a better squad, but that doesn't always win you matches. Well, Shakhtar, like I was saying, like they've wrapped up the Ukrainian league, but whatever you want to say about the standard of that league, they still did it with ease, you know.
Yeah.
And then in Europe, I think they lost 2 games in the Champions League group stage, but other than that, they've won.
They've been smashing it. Like you said, in the Champions League, they've only lost a couple. Even in the Europa League, I was just looking at through their last results, they've been absolutely hitting them for 4-3. So they're not been shy of goals by all means.
No.
Yeah, but like the amount of time that it's kind of come up my newsfeed that Inter have dropped points in Serie A against a nothing team. That kind of makes me think that they'll bottle it a bit. And I think the only thing that makes me think opposite is because Conte is manager and he's been there and done that in so many different capacities, but never. I don't think he's ever done it in Europe, because I remember Juve underneath when he was manager. I believe he was manager. They lost in the Europa League semi-finals.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
against someone very dull. I can't remember who it was, but so there is a history.
I remember.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I don't remember. I'm not going to sit here and claim I remember. He tends to do well in the leagues. I was just going to ask you, Joe.
Yeah.
One thing I know about Shakhtar Donetsk, and obviously most people will probably know this as well, is that they're basically Brazil B. In terms of they've got so many quality Brazilian players, some of which actually were linked to Man United, in particular Tyson, who I think is absolute quality in the last 2 games as well. He's been fantastic. Molas as well, he's been very influential, especially in the last game, assist, and I think he might have hit the woodwork against Wolfsburg as well. So both them 2 players are definitely a threat. Joe, you mentioned, Moses and Young. Where do you think they can hurt Inter Milan, or where do you think they're going to win the game, so to speak?
Well, for Shakhtar again, I just think they might just have too much steel for Inter, and just like going forward, like their entire front line has bags of goals. Like you say, Morales has got a huge amount of goals. I can't remember the exact amount of goals he's got, but he's like their top goal scorer by a country mile. I think if they silence him, they can do it, but I just think that they can get Inter, like, because they are an aging team, as we've seen, like with Sebastian Leong, and even with Eriksson has no pace left anymore. You're only looking at set piece and stuff like that from him.
Yeah.
So I think if you just get at Inter and attack them with pace, like I think you can get them. And I think that's what if no matter if we get Inter in the final, I think that's where we can beat them as well. Because the one thing we have going forward now, thankfully, is pace. And if a team comes at us, we can get them. So I think if you attack Inter with pace, I think that's where their main weakness are.
Well, Shakhtar have got pace in abundance. That's definitely one thing they've got. They've got a very energetic team. Ali, what do you reckon? Where do you think Inter will gather them, and who do you think the standout performances are going to be?
So I think from Inter's perspective, I think they need to. I think Lukaku has to have a massive game. I think for him to, I think he's got to use his physicality against the Shakhtar defenders. So I think Shakhtar will actually press really well. They probably will allow Lukaku to obviously win the first header, but then just press and hound them around that. We've seen as soon as you put pressure on sort of Sanchez, he sort of loses the ball in general. So I think that mentality of pressing into high up, who are used to, like Italian football, slow and steady, etc. When you've got a team of Shakhtar who have a lot of legs, I think that's where they're going to try and press them on that side.
As well as that, like as you're saying, Lukaku is a bottler as well. Like I don't think he's won a cup competition.
Joe's not holding back here.
Look, can you give me one example of either Belgium United or Everton or even brief time at Chelsea or when he did it
for us? He clutched it for us again in the. I think it was 3 games. Obviously PSG. I think it was Crystal Palace back the brace, like back to back. I can't remember what the third game.
But I'm talking more so in cup games, because I remember like the one that comes first to my mind is when he was at Everton against us and he missed the penalty. Do you remember that in the semi-final?
He was also influential in our win against PSG away from home. Let's be real. Did he not score 2 in that game?
He's off and on. He scored 2. Yeah, he went round the keeper. Scored 2 away from. In Paris, he scored twice. Yeah, he scored twice. Yeah, he did. He got us in the game there for sure. But
well, with him, it still has a crap first touch, and that's it. All right.
Okay. Well, we got a few comments. One that I was laughing to myself because I found it so funny. Obviously, this isn't the one. Shakhtar to win, as Joe is saying, and this was from Benji. If I can find it. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, so he's put down. I'll put it on the screen. He's put down get a girl that looks at you the way Usmaan looks at Joe. I didn't even realize I'd be looking at you with such an endearing way, but obviously it must be.
I can leave. I can leave.
Anyways, Ali, you've obviously got. But let's put the score predictions down and we'll move on from that. Ali, what are you going for?
Into 2-1.
2-1 straight there. Joe, what are you going for?
Shakhtar 2-1.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Ali. I think also to add, Lukaku was fantastic against Leverkusen, I've got to say, in terms of his physicality, the way he held the ball back to goal, that kind of stuff. I don't know where that was at Man United, but obviously we'll leave that to another day. I think Inter will have too much for him. I'm going to say 3-1, Ashley Young hat-trick. And just moving on. I'm joking. Well, 3-1, but not obviously Ashley Young, probably Lukaku. Is Martinez fit, by the way? I didn't check, Is he fit? Laura, is he fit?
I don't know.
Do we know? I didn't check.
So, no.
Okay. Well, obviously, I still think they'll beat him 3-1 because they beat Leverkusen. Oh, fantastic. Anyways, moving on. Manchester United against Sevilla. Sevilla just beating Wolves. For me personally, it was an emphatic performance. Although the scoreline didn't suggest so. From the game that I watched, the main takeaway I took from that was they are unbelievably good on the ball in terms of keeping it. It's finished 75% possession against a Wolves team that have been absolutely phenomenal in the Premier League for me. Definitely. Very difficult to break down. And they did bar the penalty, which in fact I want to touch upon actually first and foremost. Joe, what were your thoughts on that game, the Sevilla Wolves game? Obviously, the penalty at Adama Traore, you can't really sort of put that down to any negativity regarding Sevilla because no one could defend against him when he's running. No. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I completely agree. And also, I want to point out, in case anyone's wondering, I am wearing a T-shirt. I just realized how it just melds perfectly into my skin, and I'm not topless.
I was about to say, Joe, people, you've escalated too much after that comment.
I was going to say that's why you were looking at me like that.
That was not the reason, okay?
But I kind of figured that Wolves are set up that way to try hitting the counter because they obviously have Traore, but also they've played a ridiculous amount of games this season with not the biggest squad. Like I think their season started just over 12 months ago. So I wasn't too surprised that they sat back and let Sevilla play football. And also, I did not want to play Wolves in the next round. Like I did not want to have them, not at all, because we have not got a good record against them. We haven't lost. I think we've only lost. We've lost twice.
I think we won once, and they've been mainly draws. I think did we lose once last season? If I'm right.
We lost in the FA Cup, and didn't we win the league as well? Didn't we lose in the league as well?
I think we've drawn in the league. I think they all won once. If I'm not mistaken. I know Fred scored his first goal last season against them, and Pogba did that reverse pass. Remember that? And then they scored. I think it was Neves who keeps scoring past us for some reason.
Yeah. But in that way, I kind of did not want to, because as well, Wolves again, I knew would sit back, let United attack, and United can't do anything, especially if Fernandes isn't playing well, which unfortunately for the past couple of games he hasn't been at his best. Hopefully it'll change on Sunday. But if he's not on his best, then we just don't perform in the final third of the pitch, and it's so hard for it to break teams down. So playing against Wolves, I was like, I did not want that. I did want, no matter who we were playing, I wanted to go to extra time and go all the way, but I'm happier really to play against Sevilla because we have a lot better record against teams who like to play football than who like to sit back. So I am fine. And we've seen that Sevilla, like once Wolves broke their lines at one time, they got a penalty. So because they couldn't deal with the speed of Traore. So like I feel with our lads, like once we hit them on the break, I think we should do them, to be honest. And I think across the board, we are a better team. Well,
I would like to think so in terms of better was. But you mentioned the penalty, and also, I know the rival fans are getting triggered right now. But who better to get a penalty than us? Like, let's be real, we are the specialists. Ali, do you think Ollie's potentially going to approach it the same way that Wolves did? Obviously, they practically soaked up pressure for the majority of the game. As Joe mentioned, they hit them on the break on a couple of times, in particular the one that they got the penalty. But apart from that, Sevilla didn't give them anything really.
No. Yeah, I'm sort of counter Joey. I think it's going to be quite a tough game. We've always generally struggled against Spanish teams. I remember against Atletico Bilbao in Europa League years ago, struggled then. Generally, whenever we play an actual passing team, Juventus Champions League last year, I was at the game. They literally walked us off the park with their passing. So, again, tomorrow, there are going to be a lot of ball players there, and we're going to have legs. So it's going to be interesting to see who he sort of lands up with, especially in midfield, because we're going to need a lot of energy, especially midfield there. Obviously, we haven't got the pace of Traore, but if the players click and link, and Martial being with Rashford, if actually, well, not Rashford mainly, but he's had a terrible couple of games. But I think if we interact well and there's that connection between Bruno and the front four, that's going to be vital. But I think we're going to suffer with the legs tomorrow because, like I said, they're a very good passing unit. And like I said, historically, we always struggle against teams that generally pass well against us.
Yeah, obviously, well, Ali's obviously quite alluded to the fact that in terms of legs, something that we definitely haven't got at the moment because everyone's knackered. Is that something that could be something that plays in Sevilla's hand? And also, against Man City, we've beaten them 3 times this season. Do you think that's something Ollie's going to look at and think, you know what, let's just adopt that? Obviously, Sevilla nowhere near as good as Man City, man for man. So there's already a model, so to speak, or blueprint that we could easily get at Sevilla, really.
But I think he played, I think the games against Man City, he generally played Dan James on the right as well to sort of help with that counter-attack. Yeah. Man City on the quickest in actual midfield. If we sort of compare to sort of say Liverpool, Henderson, Wijnaldum, they're quick pressing midfielders. And like I said, when we go Matic, Fernandes and Bruno against the other three, against like I said, a very quick leggy midfield, we've all struggled. So I said it'll be interesting to see who he actually picks because the battle will be won in midfield for sure. I think whoever wins that battle there will have the strongest chance. But again, if we get it to our front three, minus Rashford, if we get forward to our front two,
don't be saying that about Rashford.
He's been. No one can justify this guy to even. He's been horrible for the last few games.
He has, to be fair, but I don't think anyone's covered himself in glory,
to
be honest.
I would completely agree with no one's been doing well. Everyone is wrecked. And it makes no sense why they're wrecked because they haven't played football for 2 weeks before the Copenhagen game. Or other than last, we won't count that as a game because no one played in that match. But no one played football for 2.5 weeks and yet they're still wrecked, which I'm worried about as well, because that's why I think we'll set up like Wolves did, trying to just be compact and let them run us, and then hit on the counter. I think it'll work better for us because we're used to doing that, and I think Wolves were more tired, and they were kind of trailing off by the end of the season as well, somewhat Wolves. So. So
you both kind of alluded to the fact that you expect to sit back. I kind of think we're going to sit back, to be quite honest with you, against a team that keeps the ball as good as them. Like I said, 75% possession is ridiculous against a team like Wolves.
And also, sorry, for Sevilla, other than their goal, which wasn't really a clean header, there was no chance they had where they missed a sitter or anything. Like Wolves didn't really give them much, in the final area. And I think that's the same thing. I don't think there's too much creativity for them in the final sector. So I think if we do hold them back, which we shouldn't be doing, but look, this is the way we are at the moment. I think we should be able to. We should be able to do the game plan we've done lots of times throughout the season and should be able to do them that way. Do you know? Yeah,
I completely agree. I was watching that game and I felt, I suppose you can't really say that, but I felt a bit hard done by for Wolves. Obviously, they were so resilient in terms of defence. Like you said, Patricia didn't really have many shots to save, really. Ali, what are you thinking regarding the midfield? Because, like you already mentioned or we've already spoken about, they keep the ball so well. Is this not a game for Matic or is this a game for Fred?
I reckon it's a game for Fred, but especially with Fred played really well last game as well. But I just reckon he'll go with experience. He'll go with making sure that we don't let anything in, and he'll go Matic again, Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Yeah.
What you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, I reckon the same. To be fair, with everything that Ali was saying, I'm not the biggest fan of Fred, and especially if it's more about containing, I think it's better to have a good head, a good reliable shoulders, and. I also don't particularly. I don't have anything against Matic. I think he was a great player. I think he's done great for us since the lockdown. But I think number one, we should be looking to replace him soon. Agree. Yeah, 2 years. I know he signed a new 2-year contract, and that's great to bring him off the bench. And he's a good person to have around the squad. But he should not be starting coming into next season. Or else we are
screwed.
Yeah.
I was trying to be polite about it, but Joe was like, nah. Boys, obviously, we know the threats that Sevilla pose, but let's talk about the threats that we pose. Ali, who do you think is going to be the pivotal player for us this game? Obviously, Rashford being one of them, but who's the other ones?
I'm really hoping we see a lot more of Pogba, as in more of him in an advanced position. I think against a Spanish team, I think he'll be able to hopefully dictate the game a little bit more, Bruno's got to have another strong game. I think he's trying a little bit too hard now. I think he knows he's not working for him, so he's probably trying that extra pass, extra touch, etc. So I'm hoping that I think if Pogba and Bruno turn up, Martial's already on fire anyway. You have to give him a second chance, and so is Mason. So I think if Bruno and Pogba will turn up and dictate the game, up front we'll be fine as well.
All right, Joe, who are you going for?
I think Harry Maguire needs to have a great game. To be honest, because like we're saying that it's going to be a lot of Sevilla on the ball coming forward. He needs to marshal that defense. He needs to make sure everyone is where they need to be at every second of that match. And then also Martial, like he too much running he was doing the other night without any finish. So like he needs to just get the ball, get by a player or two, and then put it in the back of the net, and stop dancing around. You know, just finish it. So if we get that sorted, those two on point, and as well as Pogba and Fernandes, like we should be more than enough. Like should be.
Yeah, actually, you just reminded me, I didn't even ask you regarding the centre-back partnership. Just to quickly finish off, Ali, are you going for Bayer or Lindelof? What would you say?
I think Bayer did a great game last time round. Until he came off. For a player that hasn't played that much to actually come into the team and actually, I think he played really well until he came off. But obviously, I think again he'll go safe. He'll go Matic. He'll go Lindelof. He'll play his soldiers that have played for him throughout the whole season, and just say, look, you guys have got us through and maybe got us here. I'm going to carry you guys through and go again. So you see, like I said, you see Maguire and Lindelof, and you see Matic in midfield again.
What do you reckon, Joe? Any different, or would you?
No, I wouldn't put Bayer in. I think he's a very good, potentially great centre half, but I think there's just issues with his reliability. And when he just goes off the man or whatever it is, and just if he gets a booking within 10 minutes, my heart is in my throat for the entire match, and I can't deal with that in a European Cup semi or the Europa League semi-final. I can't deal with that. So Bayer can sit on the bench until we're 3-0 up, and then bring him on for a little run around then. Okay.
For a run around, you know?
Yeah, a little run around, you know.
Okay, that's how generous of you. All right, boys. I'm assuming we're all going to go for Romero now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
All right. What? No.
No.
You know. Oh,
No.
wow. Okay, Joe, you're going to have to explain that one, because that's caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, I'm a fan of Romero. I think he's a good keeper, but like this is a big match, and Big Dave needs to big up his confidence. And if he's ever going to get back to the form he had before, he needs to be playing in big matches. And this is a huge match for us, and it's a huge match if we get into the final. And he needs to be shown he's number one. It wasn't like in 2016 whatever year it was, Europa League, 2017. When he didn't need to start because his place was secure. It was Romero's cup. That was his tournament. The same with the cups. Like, no, we need De Gea in there. He needs to put on a big performance, and he needs to prove that he could still be number one for next season.
You've just said word for word what I said prior to the Chelsea FA Cup semi-final. That's what I said. Basically.
Yeah.
And we know how that pan. We know how that pan. I'm not trying to.
You're trying to charm me again.
I'm not trying to talk it into existence or anything, but that's just my thought. Obviously, me and Ali would probably agree with Romero. I think Romero deserves his spot for me personally. I don't see why you would displace him. He's not done anything wrong. Let's do the score prediction, because I know everyone wants to watch the Bayern game. Ali, what are your thoughts? What are you going for?
I'm going for a tough 1-0. 1-0 Man United.
Ooh, that's going to be nervy.
I can't see it being too open. I can't see Sevilla being ripped apart through the midfield that easily, or at the back. Like I said, we struggled against Copenhagen to actually break them down completely.
Yeah.
And it took us until the penalty to actually get anything moving on there. Yeah, we had a few chances, but that was after they just started tiring out. So, like I said, against a strong Sevilla team, it'll be a nervous 1-0.
Joe, what do you reckon?
100% with Ali on that. Yeah, 1-0. Probably another penalty.
Not a penalty, please.
I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it.
To be honest with you, I would kind of love that, just to see more rival. And I hope it's not a pen as well. I hope it's a stonewall mistake. I was gonna agree and say 1-0 as well, but that's a bit boring. So I'm gonna say 4-0, mate. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna say 2-1. I do agree. I don't think there's gonna be many goals in it, but just to be different, I thought I'd add an extra couple of goals just for neutrals. But yeah, that's been your predictions. Let us know. So obviously, I've gone for Inter Milan and Manchester United final. Lukaku against his old team. Ali, you've gone for the same, haven't you?
100%, mate. Yeah.
And then Joe, you've gone for Shakhtar. You may not. I hope Joe's right. For all the reasons, it'll be a lot easier of a tie than us. But apart from that, Drop a like, subscribe, show the boys some love. Their links will be in the description. As always, like I always mention, Ali is the plug. So check his socials out as well. But apart from that, and also, Joe, do you actually, just before we go, do you want to actually talk about your video? Because obviously I think it's fantastic, your little skit that you did.
Oh, cheers, thanks. Yeah, Matt, look, lads, it's about us United fans dealing with the fact that Liverpool are, after winning the Premier League in 30 years, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah. But it's but if anyone could, if you could just check it out, it's Man United Through Pain. You can find it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you can find myself on Instagram at Joe Your Own Way on Instagram. So give me a follow on that, and you can see all my other works. I have a few stuff on United and a couple of other stuff that's just a bit mad. So like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. So cheers, check it out, guys. Thanks very much.
There you go. Happy days. Show some love to the boys as always. Drop a like, subscribe to the socials, and peace. Happy